Welcome to the Chad G Ortho OT Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Guerrero. I'm an orthopedic occupational therapist, strength and conditioning coach, sports trainer, and I hold over 40 specialty certifications in manual therapy, orthopedics, and sports medicine. On this podcast, we will discuss everything orthopedic therapy, sports medicine, and more. If you're a therapist, health and fitness professional, or someone just wanting to learn more about the orthopedic and sports medicine world, then this is a podcast for you. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Chad G Ortho OT Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Guerrero. And today I just want to discuss a little bit about, making sure when you go see your healthcare provider, whether that's a physician, a therapist, a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, osteopath, whoever you're seeing, make sure that you get the exam and the diagnosis that seems to match that you come in for, or maybe you didn't come in for the diagnosis, but you come in wanting some kind of thorough examination. And it's really crazy because I know I've experienced this myself, over the years. You go in, maybe we're going to say elbow pain, for instance, and this actually happened to me years and years ago, over 20 years ago, and I had some elbow pain, and you go into the doctor, and they're not really sure. They give you some anti-inflammatories and all this kind of stuff, give you a steroid shot or whatever, tell you to put ice on it or heat or and then you go on about your way. I ended up, mine didn't get better. I had to go see orthopedic, and orthopedic comes in and honestly gives, now I know, almost like a sham examination. It wasn't much to it. Wants to do an injection and all this kind of stuff. And, it's kind of crazy because at the time I actually hurt my elbow lifting weights. I lifted weights, all the time, 7 days a week is really big into weightlifting. And the guy actually told me, the physician told me, he says, well, you know what I would advise is just stop lifting weights. You're never going to be like a bodybuilder or a power lifter or whatever. So just don't even hurt yourself. Just quit. I'm like, wow, what a great answer to the problem, right? Like, let's not find a way to work around it. Let's not find a solution. Let's just stop doing it, And so anyway, and then kind of fast forwarding from there, I went to therapy and tried to get it resolved, and that didn't really help. So I ended up doing some research on my own and found some things and did some things and actually ended up rehabbing it myself, and it got better. And that's how I really got into also a lot of this scraping, instrument-assisted scraping techniques a lot of therapists use. That wasn't the cure-all, but I started using that and doing that for my elbow back then, and that in conjunction with some other stuff really helped. But I don't know how many times I have someone go into another healthcare provider's office, and then they come into me and just have for an hour or whatever that time frame is. I'm like, well, I try to be really thorough. Try to take a great history, really get to know you, what's been going on, and then do my checking, my examination portion where you actually put hands on someone or you watch them move or whatever that is. And because by the time we get somebody for therapy, they've been hurting for a while, right? A lot of times. It's not just something, an acute onset. They've had this going on for a while, they're ready to get it resolved, and they finally come to see you or got the referral to come to see you. So you want to make sure that you try to figure out what's going on, and then I always treat this the same day. Go ahead, you're going to come in, we're going to examine you, and then we're going to treat you then too. But it's really funny because I've had so many people that have gotten these crazy diagnoses. I had a lady a while back, and she went to an emergency room, and not one here locally where I live, but she did go to an emergency room. And they told her that she came in with neck pain, just severe neck pain. And she come in, and the physician told her that she had congenital torticollis. So keep in mind this lady, just prior to this happening, about 2 months prior, and she's in her 60s, had no prior neck issues whatsoever, ever in her life. And she shows me the papers. This is what the ER doctor gave her and diagnosed her with congenital torticollis. Good Lord, I can't even say it. Guess what? That wasn't what it was. We treated her. She did just fine. Resolved the issue. She went on with her life. Right? I've had them come in and they've been told by another therapist that they had carpal tunnel and it's their entire hand that's going numb. And you ask, like, did anybody happen to check in, going up the arm and the shoulder and the neck and all? No, no. I just told them what was going on. They kind of felt around on my hand and my wrist and told me I had carpal tunnel. Well, that's terrible. It's not a very good assessment. And had that happen. I've had them just all kinds of stuff. My least favorite that I hear, or the most annoying, I guess, from other therapists is like, well, you just need to do these stretches and it's going to get better, right? I had one come in, this has been a while back, they come in, they went somewhere and they try to show her some stretches and do these stretches and you're going to get better. So right off the bat, I asked her, I said, let me ask you this. I said, because you probably Googled this, which I'm okay with. I think, you know what? I think it's fine. Google your symptoms. Just be aware that you're going to, probably get a hangnail or something that's going to cause rapid death, right? But just be aware of that, and Google it, see what's going on, whatever. And so anyway, I said, you would have Googled this probably already, what you got going on. And it's probably going to have told you that you need to do these stretches, right? And she's like, yeah, I did those stretches at home prior to going to therapy. And my kind of approach on that is, if the stretches were going to help, they would have already helped, right? Like, you've already been stretching at home or using a heating pad. So if heat was going to help, it would have already helped, right? That alone. Now, if you're using it in conjunction with other things, that's fine, but it's probably not going to really do all that much. So I can't stand that one. And it's like, well, you just do these stretches. Oh, okay. I'm sure that's going to work. Every now and then a few stretches will help people. And I'm not saying it doesn't help, but I mean, if you're making a broad blanket statement that these stretches, I'm going to give you these and you're going to go home and it's going to fix you, especially if it's been going on for a while, but probably not, because it would have already helped. When I have therapy students and I take therapy students, I've done that for years. And one of the things I've always told them, is don't just give somebody this faux or sham assessment. When you're doing palpation on someone, and we all know that in reality, a lot of palpation or techniques are very difficult between clinicians. Within the same clinician, repeating it, can be more accurate, but in between clinicians, it's not that accurate. And I don't do, years ago, I did palpation, was like a big focus of mine. Like, I'm going to feel everything and be able to tell all these wonderful things. And you get pretty good at it. I mean, I like to think I'm pretty good at it, but at the end of the day, the best thing to do is let me see how you move. Let me watch you move just through maybe some organized or structured movements that I have, or maybe some movement tests. And then I want to just watch you do things. You bend over, you rotate, you reach it, up, and all these different things to kind of see what it looks like. And so that's more effective or more accurate to me. I get more benefit from that. But I always tell my students, like, make sure that you also give a hands-on component to your assessment, because, people like to feel like you're either touching or you're assessing them. There's something about being, testing a shoulder or a knee, you're putting your hands on it, feeling or pushing or pulling, because a lot of times as clinicians, you can get a history of what's going on or what was the mechanism of injury, watch the person move, and you pretty much know the MCL is gone or whatever, right? But you push and pull on it, even though it hurts, provocates pain, it feels unstable, bam. There's your diagnosis, but you're even still going to have some imaging done. But I always tell my students it's important to do a combination of both. Get your assessment, all that kind of stuff, watch your functional movements, and then do your palpation, assessment techniques and all that, and go from there. But I guess the moral of the story, the whole thing, my whole point of this is just to make sure when you go in, you've been waiting, and just really ask, like, hey, what does that mean? What do you feel? What are you checking? My neck hurts. Okay, what do you feel there? Is that something? And then see what they say. Whether it's your therapist or your physician or whoever it is. See what they say, and then question them about it. Number one, it keeps them on their toes, right? Make sure they know what they're talking about, especially if people start coming in and asking questions. I love for my patients to ask questions. If I don't have an answer to it, I'll find out. but I try to be very prepared. And this kind of goes back to a previous podcast that I've done about making sure that you don't do the bare minimum of continuing education. Because if you're doing that, oh man, please do not work on me, right? I said, you don't want to have the heart surgeon who does the bare minimum, perform an open heart surgery on you, right? You want somebody who, in their spare time, practices heart surgery, So, same concept, and but just question about it. Then that way, make some notes. Afterwards, you can go Google it, look it up, find out what you want to find out, and then kind of go from there. I always tell people, and any of the listeners, if you have any musculoskeletal questions, anything related to bones, muscles, tendons, nerves, etc., pain, you can always message me. You can email me at chadgorthoot@gmail.com. And, you can go to my website. My website link is on, it's on Apple, Spotify, I guess. I think it's all maybe in the comments. I can't remember. But anyway, you can go there and then scroll down, and there's some options where you can message me. So, and then we'll try to figure it out together. So that's it for today, guys. Like I said, the main thing is make sure that when you go see a medical provider that you're getting the answers, or at least someone is making an effort to try to find out what is going on and what direction do you need to go in, or where you need to be referred to. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and you guys have an awesome day. This podcast is brought to you by Guerrero Rehabilitation, setting the bar for rehabilitative and sports medicine care.